Hi guys, very warm welcome to all of you, and in this video we are going to talk about the Access VBA. And so we have actually received a question from Matt, and he says that, hi Ajay, I need to build a Access database form where I can see all my tables in a drop down, or list box would be much better option. Also need to connect these drop down lists with the button, so that if I select any table and run the button, it should export that table details to Excel. Every time I click the button, new Excel should open, and the data should go there. If we can give our Excel that table name, nothing like it. Can you please assist me? That's Matt. Alright, so Matt actually has asked that if this is my Access database, here you can see that I have got 4 tables, and he wants to actually have this kind of a table where he can see all the 4 table list. And just in case if you have 10 tables, 20 tables, 50 tables in the Access, all that tables should appear here in this list box. And the moment he selects, let's say, this table and click on the export, a new Excel file should open, and then the data goes there from this table. And let's say if he selects employee database, then this all data should go to that new Excel file. And the file, once we get it saved, the file name should also, the Excel file name should have this table name, which is employee database. So that is actually basically the question, right? So we are going to talk about the Access forms, guys, in this, and obviously we will have to prepare a VBA code. So I'm going to talk about the Access VBA. So if you're watching me for the first time, then let me tell you, actually this is our video number 193. okay, we have made 192 videos, and all of them videos are available under my playlist category. You can click on this playlist, and this is what you will see. So here we have different categories. According to the category, you can choose your video. And so this video, I'm going to upload this under the playlist called Connect MS Access with Excel, which we have recently started, right? Because I have received several emails in the past where you actually shown your interest in the Access VBA. And obviously, Access is it's a really wonderful tool. It's a great tool. It's a database, and we maintain the database there. It can store up to 2 GB of the data, and it is very useful when you actually connect it with the Excel also. So you can connect the Excel with the Access, and you can really make it very strong, analytical tools with the help of this Access. And of course, with the integration part, the Excel also goes. So in this video, let's go ahead and let us start what we want to do. So guys, the first thing which I want to do is I'm going to show you a loop, which if you run, then it can actually collect all the table names in the Access, right? So we are going to talk about the collection loop. First of all, collection loop. Now I think this is my first video where I'm actually talking about the collection loops in the Access VBA, right? Generally you have seen that under my playlist. If you go here and if you find that there is a playlist called the collection loops, let me just scroll down and show you if I can. Collection loops, or the loops, there is a category which we have created here. You can search it. You would come to know. Just click on that, and you would see a lot of, alright, so that's the one, like VBA collection loops. So these are all the Excel collection loops, but Access VBA is entirely different concept, right? It has no similarity with the MS Excel VBA. I mean, there are obviously a couple of things which remains very standard. For example, this VBA window, and there are a lot of other things. Anyways, let's not get into that. But the point is, in this video, we're going to make a first loop where we're going to access all the tables, right? Like in Excel, we can make the loop where we can go through, we can access all the sheets one by one, in a particular workbook. So in this case, if you have ever wondered that if any collection loop can be made in the Access where you can go through all the Access tables, then this is the code which you should follow. So let's just go ahead. So first of all, I'm going to write here access all tables names. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to declare my database. So I just declare my this db as do database, set db equals to current database, because I want to work on this database. And then the next variable, I'm going to object variable, I'm going to declare as tbl, which is do.tabledef, and then I'm going to run a loop for each dbl in db.tabledef next. Okay, this is the collection loop, guys, and here I'm going to show you that if you write here the message box and you say that you want to have the name, and if I'm going to run this, look at this. The first table name is Ajay, as you can see. The second is employee database, the another is item details, and there are a couple of more databases, table names which you see that I haven't created, but they are the internal, basically the access tables. I believe they are responsible for all the functioning in the front end. So every table, if you look at it has a word called sys, right? So I'm quickly going to press enter here, and there are a lot of actually tables which we don't require, and the last one is our school. So obviously we have to ignore those tables. I don't want to see those tables. They are all the internal database tables. So what we will do, we will put the if condition, if table name contains, let's say this is what I'm going to write, star, this is a wild character I'm going to use here, and if that contains a word called sys, right? So this is how you write this contains, right? I have used it a lot of times in my many, especially the loop videos. So you should be comfortable with this. Just in case if you don't know what I'm talking about, like actually means contains, and the star means it can have n number of characters. We are giving enough space, infinite space basically, before sys word and after sys word, right? So any table which contains sys word, then it is going to actually be picked up by this line. So we are saying that if you contain this, then what we want to do, then we just don't want to do anything. Okay, do nothing. Okay, simply go to the else, and here we're going to write something. And what we want to write, obviously we want to write the message box. So I'm going to write message box and the table name. Okay, and end if. So now when you're going to run this code, let me show you in the break mode, in the step by step. Let's run it F8. Look at this. Now what is the table name? The first table name, if I hover my mouse over here, I should be able to see the table name. Just one second, let me put the watch on this. Okay, now you can see the table name is Ajay, so that means it doesn't contain sys word, so it should go to the else mode and it should give us this Ajay. Then again the next is employee database, again it goes to the employee database, and then again the next table item details, and now the next table is sys access storage. So we don't require this. So what happens, this means that this table contains sys word, right? Before sys I can have anything, and after sys I can have anything. So that means this condition gets qualified, and that is why it skipped this else part, right? So you can see here that now no actual table is going to be captured. So if I run this F5, the last table which I will see here is school. So let me just quickly run this, rerun this code again on the F5 mode. So I'm just going to click on the run, and there we go. Now you can see that I have got all the tables. That's it, right? So this is a beautiful code which you can run, and this will ignore all the internal access tables, because we don't need that, right? Because we want to show all these tables in the drop down, and we want to show those tables which we can export, which are actually built by us. So this is the first part which we have done. Now what is the next thing you want to do? The next thing you want to do is, let's go ahead and create a form, because I have got all these tables. I can access these tables. So let's go ahead and let's create a form. So let's go to the create, and let's click on the form design, and this window would come, and what you want to do is, now you can choose whatever you want. As Matt said that he would prefer to use the list box, so otherwise my choice would be to basically go for the combo box, right? But that's fine. I mean, if we want to create it using the list box, so we can create it. There's no changes except for the naming convention and the style, because in the list box you will see all the items, and in the combo when you click you get the drop down. That's the only difference. Okay, so I want the list box from another table. Yes, I actually want the list box from the other table. So how do you want that? Now this is also very interesting. Let me just cancel this. Okay, before let me just delete this. We'll come back to this. Now first thing which I want to do is, you see, we have got all the messages, we have got all the tables in the form of message box. But message box, it was just to actually explain you how the things are working, but we don't want to create the message box. Instead we want to store all these table names somewhere, so that we can use it. So what we are actually going to do is, I'm going to actually run a command here. insert command. I'm going to run here insert query, insert into query. Okay, now if you don't know this insert query, you can definitely go ahead and search on the Google. This is basically a append query. Generally when you append some data into some table, let me show you quickly. Let's say I'm going to create a query design, and let's say I want to insert something. Let's say I want to insert this. I click on this append, and let's say I want to append this in this table, right? Let's just press OK and go to its now SQL View. You will have a look that it actually created insert into and the table name and what actually you want to insert into, right? So this is the SQL View which we actually going to do. But then don't get confused here, because it's actually a very simple query. What you can do is maybe I can take you to the the Google side. Just give me a second. We can go here and I can write here in the Google insert query in Access VBA, right? So insert query in SQL or in Access, whatever you want to write. This is basically a SQL syntax. So let me just click on any of the link. This is the W3 school website. Well, anyways, it's a wonderful site. They have written a lot of syntaxes on the Access. Just in case if you want to learn the SQL commands, you can go there. It's a very good website actually. And trust me, I'm not getting paid for it, right? It just came out and I'm telling you, right? So I am not here to promote this, but I know this website works great, so why not to appreciate it, right? So you go there and you can check all these SQL tutorials, and then you will realize that yes, what actually I was speaking, it was actually true. It's not that I'm getting paid to promote any channel here or any website. All right, so guys, this is the code. You see, insert into table name and then the values, right? Value 1, value 2, value 3. So how you actually write this? So let me just copy this and show you. I can write it, but I thought let me tell you actually from where you can collect or get all these kind of SQL commands. So here we're going to run this sort of command. This is what they have written there, okay? And it's a SQL command. You can find it in any of the website, any of the link, right? So even in my videos also, where I have connected Excel with the Access, you would see there, right? So you can go ahead and you can check out those videos where we have connected the Access with the Excel table. So I've used these insert into table the queries. So what it does, this is how you need to write do cmd run SQL. Okay, SQL. So in this statement now, do cmd is it's basically a VBA syntax, Access VBA syntax, and in this SQL now we want to run, which is insert. So I'm going to write here. It's a case insensitive, by the way. You can write it in any case. It's not going to create any problem. So insert into table, and now insert into table. You can see here it says table name, right? So the table name is, for me, we're going to create a table. Let's say I create a table called table, let's say Ajay, right? And in that table I'm going to create values, and then you're going to write the values like this. So here the value name would be the table name, right? Obviously table dot name, right? Now this is basically, you put it within the quotes. Now this is your insert query. Let's come back to the Access table, and let me just delete this table because I don't need this table. Just imagine we have only 3 tables in this table database. Now I'm going to create this table from the scratch again, so I'm going to name this my let's say ID, or I can say that table underscore name. Okay, let's just keep it text only, and I'm going to save it. So what name you want to give? You can give a name called compiling names, or I can just write compile. Okay, press OK. Do you want to create the primary key? No, just click no. Okay, now you can see that this table is created. Now what I want to insert all these table names into this table. This is actually the target. So how you're going to do that? Now insert into, so there is no Ajay table as you can see, so I'm going to write here the compile table name. Okay, Values. Now which value you want to create? Obviously whatever the table name we have one by one in this collection loop, right? So we can do one thing. Why don't we get to make it simple, we can create a variable called z, and we can say that z is going to be equals to tbl.name, and let me declare the z also somewhere. So we can declare here them z as string, because I know the table name is going to be a text. So that is why I am using the string, and here you're going to use this z. Now this is your basically the SQL command, but if you're going to run this, you will have a problem. Let me show you. Look at this. So what is the table name? You can see here. Let me just put the watch on this. The first table obviously would be, I think, the compile. So just add a watch to it. All right. So it's something else. The table name is some TMP sort of that. Let's just get this table. Let's see what is it. So let me put the watch here actually on the Z. Yeah, so that's the table name, and if you look at this, it has some, it's giving me some problems. It says that enter the parameter value. The reason is because basically this Z is actually a variable, right? So when you write the SQL commands, especially with the variables, you need to put the single apostrophe like this, right? But in this case you can't write it like this. You will have to put it within the quotes, right? So what we are going to do is I'm going to now see this. I'm going to join this entire statement till here. So this insert into compile values, and this is going to be a one complete line, and then and then this is going to be written, this single apostrophe is going to be written within the double quotes, and then I'm going to join this again with one more apostrophe, and then we're going to join this with the close bracket, which is this. Okay, and now what else we want is let's just have a look, because I think it's not actually showing the correct results. So insert into compile, and then the values, and then the value 1, value 2, value 3. We have just one value, so I have written here and this is going to be the bracket, and yeah, so you basically need to join it with this, and there we go. I think now this works fine, right? Because it's not showing any error. So this z is my variable, and when you're going to run this, this apostrophe single actually is going to be used in this SQL command, right? Rest remains same. This compile is my table name, so it should insert the table name. Basically that is the point, right? So let's just run this and let's see what is going to happen in this case. So what is the table name? The table name is some TMP CLP. I was not actually able to see this when we previously ran the code, but anyways, let's see if this inserts or not. All right, so it is actually inserting. You're about to append one row, so let me just press yes. Okay, else. Now what is the next table name? So the next table name is let me have a look on the next table name. It's compile, right? So again the compile is also going to be added. All right, so let me just quickly run this F5. All right, there are a lot of actually append queries which we ran. So let's just close this table and let's just open this table. Wow, great. So you can see here that I've got all the tables. Now what we need to do, this TMP, I really don't need it. I don't know from where it came. Must be some internal table. So we can say that if it contains TMP as well, then it should ignore. And one more thing guys, we don't need this compile table, because we actually going to create this compile table. I mean, we have created it so that we can link this with our combo box, with this list box basically. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. This list box basically, when we are going to create, so it should reflect all the table names except for the compile, right? Because we don't need the compile. In the compile we are storing these actually the rest of the tables, right? The purpose of this compile table is to collect all the names of all our access tables and then to link it with the list box. and hence we actually would like to see all the it is basically going to reflect all the access tables. So the first thing which I'm going to quickly do here is TMP. So I have already said that as if the table name contains SYS, then it should ignore. But what about TMP? So you're going to write two conditions. Or what if you have a table name like, I'm going to write here double quotes, star, and then I'm going to write here TMP. So if condition is a case sensitive, let me tell you, let me warn you here, right? In Access VBA or Excel VBA, when you write the if syntax, please remember it's case sensitive, right? That's the only I would say that I didn't actually like this point. I don't know why Microsoft did that, but that's the only thing which I see, that it's a kind of a basically a little mess, because in Excel generally when you write any Excel formula or VBA, you work on the VBA, let it be Excel or Access, you don't have this kind of a complication, so you don't have to really take care of these uppercase or lowercase. But when you write in the if, then you really have to be very strong, you have to be very attentive. So this is what I'm going to write here, if this contains this. And one more thing, why don't we go ahead and write on the next line that if the table name contains the compile also, then it should skip. So let me just copy this quickly, and I'm going to write here, and in this we're going to write here compile. Okay, so for compile I think we don't require the star, because we know that it is always going to be compile. So we don't want to find any table which contains compile word, but rather than that we would like to see that if the table name is compile. Okay, and so let's just because it's a, I can put this in one line as well. Let's just put it in one line, and I forgot to write here and or, yeah, there we go. So let me just show you the code. This is the code actually, right? So we are saying that if the table name has a word called SYS exactly in this format, or the table name has got TMP which is in the capitals, so that this can be checked, and or we are saying the table name is going to be compiled. Look at my these spellings, right? If you're going to make this capital C, then this will not be captured and you will have this in your table. So this is what exactly so far we have written, and I guess now if I delete this table, okay, and if I run this quickly, you will see here all the tables like employee database, item details, and school. So let's go ahead and let's just quickly run this. So I'm going to press let me close this, let's just run this. All right, you are about to append one row, yes, and yes, there we go. So 3 times we got this prompt. So if I go back and see that, oh wow, this is very nice, right? Loving it actually. How you got all the 3 tables except for the compile and except for all those tables which you don't want, right? So far so good. We are really going in a very good direction, right? So now I also want to tell you one more thing which you will, I'm sure you will really love it. For those who know the Access, they know that these action queries, whenever you run, like this is the append query we are running. Let me just rerun this again. You see, this is going to give you the prompt. You're going to append one row and then one row, 3 rows are appended. So you can also actually make these prompts, you can remove them, they don't come, because when you prepare the VBA, you really don't want to actually go into that, because let's say if you have 50 tables and then 50 tables 50 times, you will have this message box. So what we can do is here we can write this do cmd set warning equals to false. I believe that's the code, right, which is not going to display any message. There's no going to be any warning or kind of a prompt which you were getting here. So let's just run this and let's see if we are good to go. Okay, so it says argument not optional. Let me see what is, yeah, I think it goes with the without equals to. Let's just click. Oh, there we go. You can see that I have just clicked and it worked. There is no prompt and you have the tables, my friend, right? So this is really super cool. Let me just show you again if you missed it out. This line, what it is going to do, I'm going to click here and look at this. There's no now the prompt coming. You are going to append this row, you know. So this means that now whenever whatever happens, it will just happen without giving you any message, without giving you any little soft warning, right? And you see the tables are inserted. So this is how, you know, we can actually make the table. So let's go ahead now. So basically the second part is also now done. We have connected it with the table. First what we did, first we ran the loop, then in the loop we checked all the things. The table name shouldn't be SYS, it shouldn't contain TMP, and it shouldn't be, you know, equivalent to compile. And if all the conditions meet, then whatever is left, you know, insert all those tables into this compile list. Now the next thing is we want to connect it with the form. So this is how we're going to connect it with the form. You go ahead in the crate and you're going to click on the form design. This is what I was telling you. So I'm on this form. You can see the name of the form is form 5. So click on this list box and just drag it here. Okay, you can resize it. I mean, see that whatever, how it actually is, how many tables you have, so you can just increase or decrease the size. I want the list box to get the values from another table. Yes, this is what I want actually, because I am going to link this with the compile table. Next, which table you want to, you know, connect it. So we will be going to connect it with the compile next. And so what fields you want in that combo, in that list box, I beg your pardon. So in that we definitely would like to use this table underscore name. If you remember, this is the field name of this compile table, right, where I'm going to actually I'm collecting all the tables. Next. All right, would you like to ascend them? Yes, I think this looks good. You always keep them in the ascending order or descending order. Okay, next, how wide would you like the columns in your list box? So I think that's fine. Maybe you can increase the width. Yeah, I think this looks nice. Next, what label would you like to give for your list box? So let's just keep it as table underscore name. I mean, that's fine, right? So there we go. Now the list box is created. Now what you need to do is, we are right now in the design view. So you just click on this form view, and this is how, you know, your form actually starts looking like, right? So we should be able to see all the details in this form. Let me just close this form 4. I don't want to save any changes, right? So now in the compile table, you see it is blank, and that is the reason you don't see anything in your form. So the moment you're going to run this code, let me say yes, I want to save the changes. So I am just going to keep the form name as form 5. So let's just keep it form 5, and now go back to this window and let's just run this code. All right, now let's just click on the form, and there we go. So we have started seeing all the tables, right? The same tables which are available in the compile list, right? So what is the next thing you want to do? Now the next thing which you want to do is, based on your selection, you want to create a button which should export these tables. So you go again to the design view, and here you're going to create a command button. Click on this button, and there we go. So this is your command button. Just cancel everything you don't want to, because you want to run a VBA. So I just cancel this out, and in this command 2 I can click here, or maybe you can go in the caption, this property sheet. If you don't see this property sheet, just click on this control and, you know, click on this property sheet, and you will see that all the controls basically are available here. So we have a form. If I click on the form, this entire form gets selected, and we have a you know, this list box also. You see that if I click on the list, then this control gets selected. So you can also select from here, right? So now actually the target is basically to see this this command box. So I click here and I go to this caption, and I say that export table, right? And you can see that I got this export table. So the name, if you want the name, you can also write the name as well. Name, this is very useful when you actually write the VBA. In the VBA programming, you use these names. So I'm going to write here CMD export. That's it, right? So far so good. Now we are going to, you know, make a code in this, and before we make that code, we will just write that code here. Okay, So maybe in the another macro, I'm going to create here another macro, and which will help us in understanding that whatever the list box, the item we have selected, and I click on the export, the Excel file gets opened, gets created, and the data gets saved here. So this is very important. So in this line we are going to write here export table name to Excel. Okay, this is going to be a long video because we are doing lot of stuff here. Okay, so now how to basically check that what basically the form user has selected. Have I selected this? Have I selected this? Have I selected this? So for that you need to actually run a loop again, right? So the loop is, let's just write it here. So I'm going to write here dim I as long, and then I'm going to declare here as dim, let's say you can write here lst, okay, which is my list box. I'm just naming it as lst as list box, and then I'm going to write here set lst equals to, which is forms, and the form name is form 5. You can see here, so form 5, this is how you write, with the sign of exclamation, right? And then again one more sign of exclamation, and then here you will write the name of your list box control. So what is the name of the list box control? Just go back to the design view because I just forgot. Just click here and see what is the name of this. So the name of this basically the box is list. So I'm going to name this something else, maybe my list box. Okay, I just name it like this, my list box. So here I will write my list box. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is for I equals to 0 to, and then this list box lst dot how many basically the list, the count we have. So it is going to start with 0 and next. Okay, so this is again another collection loop, guys. This is a loop, we can say that this is a collection loop for to get the values of the list box. Okay, collection loop to retrieve the items of your list box. Okay, so how are you going to get that? I'm going to write a message box and then list box, and then you have a property here. Let me just scroll it down, which can give it the names. Actually there are a lot of properties and the methods here, so you have to find it out. So it's item data and bracket index is going to be I. Okay, now you see what will happen, basically what it means. So first of all, let's just run this. Let me put this in the view mode. Okay, now you see I have selected the school right now, or maybe you can select item details. Okay, that's another table. All right, so now you're going to run this code and let's see if we are good with this or not. Alright, so my lst is now equivalent to my form 5, and under the form 5 the control name of the list box is my list box, as you know, right? So this is how basically you write. Forms is a keyword which you need to write with the sign of exclamation, and afterwards you need to write the form name, which is a form 5, like form 3, form 1, or whatever the name you have given, again with the sign of exclamation, and you join with the control, whatever the control you have. And I show, as I showed you that the R list name actually is my list box. So let's go ahead, and how many times you need to run this loop. So I'm going to start with the 0 and overall the list count, so we have 3 list counts. So this is going to run from 0 to 3, which means 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is going to run 4 times basically, right? Which is wrong. But anyways, let's first have a look. Now this I actually is 0. Why I have declared this 0? Because in the list box, the first index is not 1 actually, it is 0. So that is why I have started it with the 0. So now here you can see that the first list box is employee database, and then again it is item details, and then again it is school, and there we go, invalid use of null. Now why you are actually getting this invalid use of null? Why are we getting the error, right? Can you think on that? It's simple, because you said, let me show you what is the value of I. If you look at the I, let me just put the watch on this. The value of this I is 3, which means 0, 1, 2, 3. 0 1 2. So there is no actually any item which has an index called 3, because you have written here this loop is supposed to run 0 to 3. So 0 to 3 means 0 1 2 3. So basically when it starts, this is the employee database 0, this has an index 0, and this has an index 1, and this has an index 2. There is no item with this index called 3. So what you need to do is, let me just close this, you just need to minus 1 from it here. Okay, now when you run this, this should work fine. Employee database, item details, and school. There we go, right? So again, I don't need the message box. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say that whatever the item you are going to, the table name you're going to select, let's store it, you know, in the table. But how you will find it out? So here you will write that if this the table, basically my list table, list dot, we have a here selected. If that is going to be selected, let's say this, if this is going to be true, then what we need to do is, I guess you don't write basically the true. Let me see. I think the true will go definitely. Yeah. So if the selection is true, which means this selection I'm talking about, then let's store it somewhere. So I'm going to store it in the myvar variable, and the name is going to be, obviously you know, the name is going to be item data I. Okay, and if it is not so, then we would like to just simply close it, end if. Okay, so let's run this code quickly and let's see. Variable not defined. All right, I just forgot the variable myvar. I'm gonna declare it as a string, because you know your tables will always have a text. Okay, there we go. If you don't, I mean, if you have any table with the name of anything else, I mean, which is not a string, then you can declare it this as a variant as well. Okay, all right. So the first item is selected. No, it is not selected. You know that this I is right now 0, right? So this I 0 means that let me just put the watch on this. Okay, now this 0 means that I'm on the employee database and it is not selected, so it should go to the else, and yes, as expected, it moved to the else. And the next time, now we should actually get on this then parameter, and there we go, because item details is selected. And now let's see what value we have gotten in this myvar. So let me just put the watch on this as well, and so you can see here that I have got my table by the name of item details in the myvar, right? And this is what I exactly wanted, right? Next, and again it will not, because school is not selected. There we go. So this loop actually is completed. Now what is left? The other part is export table, the button which we have created. There we actually would like to go ahead and run this using this myvar, right? So now what we need to do is, I'm gonna write here in this, after the next statement, let's just get the Excel opened. Okay, so here I can make this, I mean, I can write the another code as well. So we can do one thing, or maybe we can just write it here itself, not a problem. So to open the Excel, this is how we need to do. First of all, please go to the tools and use the Excel library, and it is already there, as you can see, because I have actually on it, I have actually made it on, I've activated it. So in your case, it is not going to be activated. So just press M and then scroll it wherever you have the Microsoft Excel, right? And you would see, depending upon your version, just you would see this number 14.0 or 12.0, 15.0, whatever it is, but you just need to on it, right? So you just on this library, and that's it, because here we are going to actually open the Excel. So I'm going to write here dim as excel.application, set Excel equals to new application. Okay, and then what we are going to do is we're going to make it visible. We can see that, and then we're going to add the workbooks, a new workbook. This is how we're going to add it, right? So once we have the workbook on, then what we want to do, we want to store that values in its first sheet, right? So I'm going to declare here dim, let's say Excel ws Excel that worksheet as Excel dot worksheet, and set excel ws equals to excel ws excel dot sheet, and that is going to be the first sheet because it is going to be a new sheet, so I really don't have its name. Obviously you're going to create a new workbook, so you would like to go on the sheet 1. And then what we want to do is, as you know that we have stored this in the myvar, the table, right? So here we're going to run this loop, which is do while not your record set. So we have to declare one record set as well here. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare here a record set, right? And so I'm going to write here dim rs as my record set. Let's see if we can do that. So I'll write it here with the d record set, and then set rs equals to now db, which is my the database. Let me show you. Okay, so I haven't written it actually anywhere, so let's just write it here. I can write it that this is going to be my database, and this is the current database. This is how we write current db. Okay, the next thing I want to do is, now we want to open the table, which is open record set, and now which table you want to actually get it open. That's the important point. So whatever the name we have in the myvar, you know, I'm going to open that. Okay, and once we do that, then we're going to run this loop do while not rs dot end of file, right? So we want to run this loop until we get to the last row, and this is how we write. Okay, now what is the next thing you want to do? Obviously you want to run a loop which should you know, go in that table, for example this table, and you know, copies these items and you know, can export them one by one. So now in this case we further have one more challenge, because every table if you open, they have their different headers, right? So what we want to do is, we want to obviously start with the according to the fields. Like in this case we have 3 fields, right? And the number of rows we have 3. So this should actually work how many times? This should work actually 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. It should work actually 9 times, right? So in this case we would like to run a loop which should automatically captures you know, basically this thing, that how many times we are supposed to run this loop. So I'm going to say that first of all, you please pick up these items. So in this case this is how we're going to write that rs your sheet, I mean excel ws dot cells and 1 comma 0 dot value, which is the excel. It is going to be equals to what? It is going to be equals to the field, and here you're going to write the field name, right? So the field name I'm going to write here as j, let's say, dot value. Okay, and we have to declare here j as well. So I'm going to declare here j as long, and j equals to, let's say, starts with a 0. Okay, so first of all, let's see what exactly we get here, and then you know, further we can see how we're going to make the changes. So sorry, this is not going to be next, but it's a loop actually, do while. Okay, now let's just run this. So now you know this loop is actually going to run on all the tables, which basically the table we have selected. So there we go, and now my var has a value which is let me put the watch. So this has now item details as we were expecting. So then this is captured in the item details. Now let's go ahead, and you can see here in the background, now the moment I run this, Excel application will be activated, and look at this, this is also visible now. It added one workbook. Wonderful. Now this XLSWS refers to this sheet 1 I was talking about, the sheet 1. Now let's go ahead and let's see how we're going to do this. So now this table, the myvar table, we are going to get it open, and I think it is open now in the access memory. So now you want to run this. Now this is the important point basically. So I want to see how this is going to work. So look at this now. All right, so application defined, object defined error. So basically I think we have a problem here, which is let me just give this field name called 1 dot value. Now let's just run this. Okay, so it still gives us the problem. All right, my mistake, it cannot be 0. It's a first row and first column, right? So we should be on the A1. Okay, there we go. Now look at this. I got here 333, which is the first value, right? So let me just run this loop again, and you see that this keeps on basically printing 333 here, right? Because we are not getting rows incremented. The first thing which we need to do is we need to declare here variable called, let's say I'm going to declare here R, and I'm going to declare this as a C. Okay, now this R and C, we are going to consider it as row and column, right? So basically what we want is we want to increment the row and we want to also increment the column. That depends now, right? So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply go ahead and because I'm also going to prepare this code right away, so we will have to see that, you know, how the things are going to happen from here onwards. So now what is the next thing we want to do is this R we are going to increment here R plus 1, the row number basically, and we can also increment the column number, let's say the column number, or maybe let me just keep this C as it is, and so we have to declare this R as long and C as long. I'm going to start R with 1 and column as 1. Okay, all right, so now let's just run this code again and let's see. Let me quickly run this, and yes, I also need to close this. We'll get the new workbook opened. There we go. Okay, so workbook is now added, and let's see now what exactly we are doing here. All right, so do while this record set is not empty, so there we go. Now this R is 1 and C is 1, so I should have a value in the A1, which is the field 1. You can see here we got it R incremented, and now let's have a look. So you see that 333 is coming all the time. How many times? This is very interesting. It should run, you know, for all the basically the items we have in that table. So let me quickly run this. Okay, now do you see that this is the infinite loop? This will never end. Why? Because what happens, it is printing this 333, right? But you're not moving. You're not moving, so it still remains on this 333, which is I would show you, which is this item 333, this one, right? Because I have written here the field number called 1. So field 1 means that the quantity field basically. So you have to move it like this, rs dot next. Now let's just run this code and have a look. So let me change this to 0 also, so that we can have apple, orange, and, you know, the cold drink. All right, so let me you know, close this Excel. So basically, you know, we are doing every troubleshooting right in this video, and this is the way, you know, you learn actually the things when you see the things happening. Not like I don't want to write any pre-written code, and you know, I want to be quick. So in this way you can also see that what does basically these lines mean, you know. So let's just run this code again quickly. So workbook is added, and there we go now. All right, so it opened the myvar table, and now let's see. So you got the apple this time, perfect. Now we're moving to the next, and let's see now what is the next value. Now the next row number is obviously 2, right? So we got this orange. Oh, perfect, very nice. All right, so I guess in this way, yeah, there we go. So we have got all the items. So this is done now. But what about this? And what about this? Because this is also important, right? So basically, guys, what we need to do is we need to run this loop 3 times, because it has 3 headers, right? So what I will do is here in this loop, we are going to make a bigger loop as well. how many times I need to run this loop. So I'm going to write here for, let's say, let me declare this word called big. For big loop equals to 1 to repeated fields dot count. This will give you the fields, how many fields we have. Okay, and let's just fix it with the next. This is the bigger loop I'm talking about. Okay, and let me just scroll it up. Okay, so this is the one, and I can just put some indenting here. Yeah, so this would run 3 times, and every time it runs, you know, this field we have to change it, right? Is it making sense to you or not? This is going to give you 3 for sure, right? You can put the message box also here. Let me tell you, message box, your headers are and rs dot I'm sorry, fields dot count. We just want to have, just give me a second, I have to get rid of this. All right, yeah, there we go. So now I'm going to run this. Let me quickly show you. Let's put the break code here quickly, and let's press F5, variable not defined. Okay, yes, I have to declare the big loop as well. Okay, now let's just quickly run this, F5, and what is the next thing I want to do? Yeah, your headers are 3, so you know that we have 3 headers, right? And let's just correct the spellings as well. All right, now once you have the headers 3, so that means this loop is now, the bigger loop is going to run 3 times. Okay, so you have your Excel open here, which is this Excel, and now you're gonna run this, you know, within that particular the first loop. This is the first time we are running this loop, and under this first time these all actions will happen. So we're going to open this table. We have already get that table open, which is item details, as you can see. So now what will happen the next time when you're going to run this loop, you see you will have your this loop is going to run, and you will have your apple, then you have will have your orange, and then you will have your the next item, which is cold drink. Now it goes to the and next, you know, it's clear that this entire do loop is covered, because as you know we have got only 3 items here. Now the time has come to move to the quantity, and then again to run the loop. But for the quantity, the header is 1, it's not 0. I'm talking about this code, this one, right? So if I again run, now you know that the big loop is now 2, because this is the second time the loop is running, right? And so again, now if you look at this, it just did not actually work. It simply went to the next part, and again next part, and you know the macro is finished. So basically what is happening, understand this, when you print the cold drink, you are already on the last row. If you are on the last row, then you have written here that do while not required end of file. It is already on the end of the file, so why it is going to run? So that's why it immediately stops, and it did not go to the quantity in the price. So what you need to do, any guesses? So when you are actually going to finish this loop, obviously you would be on the last record, right? You would be in the last that field, basically the item under that field. Let it be item, quantity, whatever. Like in this case it was cold drink, right? So the next time when you run for the quantity, you have to again go to the first record so that the loop can be started. So here I'm going to write that now move first. Once it goes to the move first, then it will be on this record again, and then you will have to tell your VBA that this time don't capture the index 0, but capture the index 1, because it is your quantity, which means this one. right? If I run this loop now, see what will happen. It's very interesting. You will have apple, orange and cold drink everywhere. That's what I believe, right? So let's just close this, and now let's just run this quickly. There we go. So I'm going to press F5 quickly, and I'm on this Excel opened. What is the next thing I want to do? So we got the prompt here, your headers are 3. Yes, the headers are 3. And now we are going to take to this VBA part. So let's see what values we got in here. You know that everything is perfect up till now. So now this is the last value in my table. So definitely do while is now on the end of file. So it goes to the out, it just exits from this. Now here we are saying that now move to the first level. Now the next time it is going to move to the next level, this big loop is now going to run the second time. Now what will happen in the next line, which is your this R. Now what is the value in the R? If you put the watch on your R, it is going to be 4. So in the fourth row you would see again what? Again that same value, which is apple, this orange and cold drink, right? So again it moves first. And now the big loop is 3 because we want to run this loop 3 times. So this is the last time it is running, and you will see again the same value again and again. So basically, and there we go, ends up, right? So what happened, this 0 should be made dynamic. So I'm going to declare it as index val, okay? And this index val should be incremented here. Index val equals to index. You can write anything. This is, I've just declared the variable, and I'm also going to declare my index val as, let's say, long. Okay. Now what is the benefit of this? The benefit of this is that when you're going to start this, let me put this colon sign and let's just declare it. The first time it is going to run, it should have a 0. So basically we are now going to go to every this will make us very flexible in accessing all the fields one by one. Okay, so let's just delete this. So next time, every time this big loop run, this will have a new value, and this would mean that I can go to the next header, then so on. So now let's just run this. I'm going to press quickly F5. There we go. Excel is selected. You have a message box. Headers are 3. Now the first time this big loop is going to run. So we're going to run this, and let me show you the Excel part also. So you know that this all values are going to be printed, right? Alright, now the loop is finished because we are on the last bracket. So it goes to the again after it finishes this do loop, it is going to the first bracket, and this time I'm going to make it this index val as 1. So if I put the watch on this, or maybe I can do one thing. Let me just put the local window on here. Yeah, so now you can see here that everything is here. So we want to find index val. So where is the index val? A lot of variables actually we are using. Now this is 1. Okay, so the next time now it will run. It is already on the first record because you have moved it here. So that means it should be on the record of this quantity, right? Basically on the first record. Now which line will define that you are on the quantity or price or item? The next line, which we have written here, this one, index val, which is now 1. You can see here. So 1 means that it should print now the next value. If I just show you this in the Excel, on the next row, which is, as you can see, the row number is 4 here. So on the 4th row, it should print the this value called 333. Okay, so let's just go ahead. There we go. Wow, we got it, man. So again now it goes to the next record, which is 33. So in the 33 also it is going to pick up the next, and 33 is also there. So again 333 has come. Now the loop is finished, right? Because it should now go to the end of file. Do while not rs.eof means that you are supposed to run this loop only till the point you are not actually finding the last row. So we are already on the last row because 333 is printed, and you can see here that this is the 333, which is the last item. So now the time has again come to move it to the first record, right? So here the loop is finished and we are going on the first record, and here again I'm going to increment this index val. Now you can see the index val is also 2. right? So this is the last time I'm running this loop, because you see that the big loop is 3, because we wanted to run this loop 3 times so that we can cover all the headers one by one basically. So now let's have a look on the Excel part. What should happen now? We got 43 rupees here, right? That's the Indian currency, whatever you want to write it, dollar or pound, whatever. So let's just click on this, and there we go. We got all the items, and next ends up. Wonderful. So it doesn't matter the currency, as I said, dollar, pound or whatever, Indian rupees. I just wanted to actually give you a insight on this. Now one thing which is left is that we got all the things, but we wanted actually in this column wise order. I hope you must be thinking of this point right away, right? So what you can do is while moving this row, here you can make it 0, r equals to 1, again starting from the row, and column you can increment it one by one. So what will happen, once it prints these values, the cold ring, the next time the loop is going to run for the second the field, you will have again a row as 1, and the column is going to be incremented by 1, which means you are going to be on the column number 2. So let me just now quickly run this, and also let me just make it a big so that you can see everything here. It's a big code actually. We have run so many codes here today, so you can pause the video and you're going to have a look one by one. So this is your first code. I'm going to connect all these codes now one by one. That's the only thing which is left. Okay, so all right, so first of all let me just run this again. So I'm going to press F5 quickly, and let's just close this. I hope we actually have taken a lot of time today, and I hope you now understand how the regex is actually moving the axis, and how you take care of all the things, whether to go to the next, move next, and whether to go to the how to run the loop till the end of file, and then this line is so important, right? So this is how you do the things. And also before you run the loop, always making sure that you should be on the first record before running the loop, right? So now this is our loop, and I'm just going to run this. Let's have a look what will happen. There we go. So I have got headers are 3, and now let's have a look on the Excel. Oh, there we go, very nice. So you got all the things, right? Now once you got all the things, the next thing you want to save this file, obviously, right? So the next time what I want to do is I will simply save this file, which is excel dot I think you can do it simply save as this workbook dot save as. Okay, now which name you want to keep it? So I'm going to save it in my E drive. Okay, in the E drive, and I'm going to write a name which is the name of my table, right? So let's just put it within the quotes and join it with the, so where we are storing our name, right? Table name. We are storing our table name in this myvar. So myvar. Okay, myvar, and again, and don't forget to write the extension dot xlsx. It's a simple Excel file. Okay, and then excel dot close this workbook dot close. You can close it without saving the changes, or with save, obviously you want to save the changes, so write here true, and there we go. Okay, so let's just have a look again. I'm going to on this workbook. So this is my E drive, and let me double click here, and you see that I don't have anything here. So let's just close this file, and this time what I want to do is I want to open my form again, and I go to the design, because I want to click here. So right click here, and just click here. I mean you in the design mode, don't forget to click here on the design mode, and then in the event of this property sheet on click, remember this should be selected, right? We are going to click on this ellipsis and code builder, press OK. Now this export, you know that this is the name I have created. So when this is going to be clicked, what you want to do, so you can cut and paste the entire code and write it there, but what I'm going to do is, and I'm not going to do that, I will simply keep it in the modules only, and I'll just call this function from there, this macro basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that call this macro, which is export table names to Excel, right? So it should work now. Alright, so let's come back and have a look, and this time I'm going to run this school. Just click here. Alright, now you also have a message box. Now you look at this, you know that in the school database we have only 2 headers, right? Okay, so this workbook object is failed. Let me click on the debug. So what is the issue? So the issue is this workbook dot save as, let's keep it active workbook. Active workbook, yes, there we go. Okay, all right. Yes, so again we will have to make it active workbook dot close. This workbook actually is used for where you write the codes, especially in the Excel VBA, right? So this is done now. I think this is working nice. Excel is also closed. You can have a look on this. Let me go to the E drive, and there we go. Oh yeah, there we go, guys. Let's just open this and we can have a look here. So the file is on. You can see the data is exported there, right? So in this way you can actually do a lot of stuff, right? So let's come back, and now let me click on the, by the way, let me show you in the school. You can see here that we have 2 headers, right? So anyways, you don't need this message box. I just wanted to actually explain you that. So maybe you can off this, the message box wherever you are actually showing it. Yeah, here, just comment it out. Okay. Alright, so now let's go ahead and let's click here and export the table. Yes, but one thing, just when the code runs, why don't you basically put the message box here, message box, data saved in your F drive. Okay, that's my E drive, sorry. Alright, so let's just run this export table. There we go. Oh boy, everything pasted, and the Excel is also closed. Data saved in the E drive. So I can have a look here. I can go to the E drive, and you see that this is created with the same name, right? So if I go back again, and now this time I run this, I click here. There we go. The Excel is getting opened, the data pasted, Excel closed with the save changes, and everything is closed. Data saved. Now let's have a look on your again E drive, on my actually E drive. So you see that I have got the item details as well. I think this is very exciting, right? We have made this so well. Now one more thing I want to tell you, the moment you run this, you see that alright, so this is already exists in this location. Do you want to replace it? Yes, I want to replace it. There we go. Now this window is also something I think you can work on this. This can also be closed. So what we can do is we can go back to the VBA here, and we can quit from the application. So application.quit. This will not show you anything. Okay. So now let's just go ahead and again run the code again, and let me delete all the files once again. And this one as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and run. So let's just select this export table. There we go. There we go. Data saved in E drive. Now look at this. There is no Excel file. There is no Excel which is open. Even the blank, everything is closed. You can have a look. I don't have it, and the table is also pasted, exported to this table, to this Excel sheet having the same name, right? So this is how you can do all the stuff. You can connect everything. We have connected everything here, and in this way you can always have this basically the form open. Now let's say let's go further and let's create one more table. So I'm going to copy this and paste this. So this is now a new table. I just copy and pasted it. Let me write it here, test. Let's just press this test. Now you see that let me open the form again. So everything you want to save, yes, I just saved it. So this is my form file. Let me click here. Now look at this. this is not done. It is not able to capture all the tables again. So you have to do something here, right? So basically what happens, because every time you can't come here and run the loop, this loop, because if you're going to run this loop now, then definitely in your compile list that table will be created. So if I run this, see what will happen. I'm gonna run this F5. There we go. I clicked on the F5 and now let's have a look. Now two things. One is the test is added, but at the same time the previous written values are also added, because every time you run this loop, which is this loop where you have these the form details, you run this, you keep on getting those previous values. Look at this, right? So what you need to do is you need to make ensure that this table should always be empty before you run the loop. You see, employee database is now coming 3 times, because the more time the n number of times you are going to run this loop. For example, let me just run this again. If you go to the compile, you will have a long list, and the moment you refresh your form, you will have this long list, unwanted list, which you do not want, right? So there is a solution for this. The solution is, why don't we just simply go ahead and delete everything from the compile table. Okay, so here in the beginning, what I will do, I will run one more SQL command, which is the delete query. Okay, here I will write delete all, which is star, from compile. That's it, and just put it within the quotes, not equals to, sorry. Okay, now this is going to delete everything from the compile table. Okay, this will always be empty. Let's just run this on the F8 mode and then we can have a look. Alright, so this query has run. Let's see. There we go. You see, the table is empty. That is what I was talking about, right? So that's a simple line which you can put, and now if you run this, you will have all the tables here. Obviously the tables are added here, test is also added. The next time you're going to add one more table, let me just copy this and paste it, copy of test, let's say, and I come back here and I run this code again. You see that in the compile, the copy of test is also added. Okay, and that is why you will be able to see all this here. But what we want to do is, because we don't want to get into this VBA, to run this, our user may not know this, he is not comfortable, let's say, with the access VBA, then what would you like to do? So let's create this a button in the form. Let's go in the design view of this form 5, and here I'm going to create a button called, let's say, command button, simply here, and let me just cancel everything. So go to its caption box and refresh. That's it. Okay, and the name of this command button is command 3, so let's just keep it like this only, not a problem. So right click again and just let me just click back here. Okay, and go to the events of this and click here again, code builder. And so when somebody is going to click here, what should happen, I want to call this macro which we have written here, retrieve all tables. Okay, copy this name and come back to your form and put it here. There we go. Now let's go ahead and let's check. First of all, let me just delete this and delete this. View the form. Okay, there we go. Refresh. Could not find out table Ajay. Okay, let me see what is the issue. Debug. Okay, insert into I beg your pardon guys, this is not the code. We have made the code in the module 2. Oh, my mistake, I'm so sorry. Module 1 is not for you, it was something else. So I mistakenly, what I did, I actually written this wrong name. It should be actually this in the module 2, access all table names. This one, right? I think copied this one, my bad. Alright, I'm so sorry. So we're gonna call this macro. Okay, now let's run this, refresh, and there we go. So now when I'm going to refresh it, let me first just close this. Okay, there we go. Now this ran, and now what I want is let me just suppose this table is added now. Control C and Control V, copy of school. Okay, so I click here. Let's just close this first. Now you see that it is actually, you know, coming here, right? So the moment I again, let's say, copy this and paste it here, and let's just name this as test. Press OK. Now let's just open this. Now you see that the test is not there. Why? Because you didn't click on the refresh. So just click on the refresh, close this, open this, and there we go. So basically, you know, every time when you click on the refresh, just close the form and rerun this. You will have all the new values. So let's go ahead and delete this. Let's go ahead and delete this. So now I'm gonna, you know, just refresh this and close this and just open the form again. You see that you have now only 3 tables, right? So there must be some another way also. I mean, you can definitely keep this in the different way also, like just clicking the refresh, you know, is going to refresh all the names here. But I would like to keep this option good, because in that case, you know, you will always be, you will not be able to forget basically to click on this and to close this. So every time you need to click here and then just close the form and reopen it, and your, you know, the tables will come, and then you know what you need to do. You just need to select the item and you need to export the table. So this is how the entire code we have, you know, made. And so in the module 2, you can pause this video, you can see that what we actually have written, and let me just scroll it down, and this is your next sub, right, which I have written here. It's a long code, I know, and but it was very interesting one as well. So this is your code, basically the entire code, you see, right? So I hope it solved the purpose, and this is what exactly you were looking forward to. And let me know if you think that, you know, there is something maybe you didn't understand, or just don't forget to give me your feedbacks on this. And do subscribe to my channel as well. On the just, you know, the right corner you would see a button there. Just click there and be a part of my channel, guys, for this awesome learning. And so this is the end of the video number 193, I believe, and I will come up with some more exciting stuff. And thank you for watching, and stay happy and have a very, very great learning today. Thank you so much.